Why is it that when terrorists are gunned down in Kashmir, Reuters call them three men, but when India defends itself, its soldiers are painted as aggressors? Why are Indian employees working for foreign publications like Reuters and BBC silent, even complicit, when their editorial bosses twist facts, downplay terrorism and distort India's image on the global stage? At a time when India is asserting itself on the world map, some Indian journalists continue to serve as the local mouthpieces of Western propaganda machines. The recent Reuters report calling three elite terrorists men is not a one-off, it's part of a deep-rooted pattern of editorial betrayal. And it's not just Reuters. From the BBC's Gujarat documentary Hijab to its bizarre obsession with smearing Indian culture, there is a clear agenda to malign India. This is not journalism, this is information warfare. And it's time we call out every sold out keyboard behind it. On the very day Defence Minister Rajnath Singh took the floor in Parliament during the Operation Sindoor debate, Indian forces neutralized three top Lashkar-e-Taiba terrorists in Kashmir. The encounter named Operation Mahadev took down Sulaiman Shah, a Pakistani army veteran and key planner of the Pahalgam massacre, along with Abu Hamza and Yasir. While Indians hailed their armed forces for a swift and surgical blow to Pakistan-sponsored terror, Reuters, a global media agency with Indian journalists on staff, chose to describe these terrorists simply as three men. Not militants, not jihadists, not Lashkar operatives, just men. This is more than just a headline. It is an editorial malpractice with an agenda. It is a deliberate sanitization of Pakistani terrorism and an insult to the Indian soldiers who risk their lives defending this nation. What makes it worse is that the article was written and edited by Indian names: Tanvi Mehta, Sakshi Dayal and YP Rajesh. Indians working for a foreign media house, choosing silence over national interest. When asked for a response, Reuters South Asia News Hub Chief YP Rajesh refused to comment. Reuters won't allow its journalists to talk to the media, he said. That raises an obvious and urgent question. Are Indian journalists at foreign media houses silenced, or are they simply complicit? This is not an isolated incident. Reuters has a well-documented history of peddling narratives that align more with Pakistan's ISPR than with India's national interests. On May 7, 2025, they falsely reported that three Indian jets had crashed in Jammu and Kashmir, based solely on Pakistani military sources. 2 days later, they ran another piece claiming Chinese jets had downed Indian aircraft, once again authored by Pakistani journalists with no factual backing. During the 2020 Delhi riots, they conveniently ignored the murder of an IB officer Ankit Sharma and focused solely on blaming Hindus, feeding the same tired communal trope that left thrives on. The agenda is clear. When terrorists attack India, they are victims. When India retaliates, it's the aggressor. This perverse narrative reversal is not accidental. It's a symptom of a deeper rot in the global media establishment, where Western outlets treat India not as one of the world's largest economy or a rising superpower, but as a caricature to be condemned, ridiculed and demonized. And the Indian employees working for these publications, they remain disturbingly silent, either for paychecks, prestige or political alignment. But Reuters is not the only one. The British Broadcasting Corporation, the BBC, has long worn its anti-India bias on its sleeve. Their infamous Gujarat documentary resurfaced just before the 2024 elections, once again trying to smear Narendra Modi despite the Supreme Court of India giving him a clean sheet. The timing, the tone and the intent were clear: to interfere in India's democratic process by reigniting communal tensions under the garb of investigative journalism. This documentary was funded by the same British government that still cannot digest India's rise as a global power under a strong nationalist leadership. And it gets even more absurd. BBC Hindi ran a story debating whether Indian men should be standing or sitting. Another article asked why men wear dirty underwear. This is the level of intellectual sewage Western media pumps into India under the name of journalism. Meanwhile, when the Taliban took over Afghanistan in 2021, the BBC reported on it with sympathy, showing images of well-armed militants and talking about peaceful transitions. When it comes to India, everything is painted in black and white, but mostly black. Most recently, the BBC pounced on the tragic Ahmedabad Air India Express crash with a headline that screamed Air India cover-up to protect Boeing, subtly trying to link India's aviation authorities with global corporate corruption, without proof, without balance, and without regard for the victims. The actual DGCA report pointed to pilot error, yet BBC tried hard to frame it as an Indian cover-up, just another attempt to defame Indian institutions and question their integrity. So what is this really about? It's not journalism, it's not facts, it's certainly not objectivity. This is agenda-driven propaganda. This is post-colonial contempt repackaged in newsroom jargon. This is an attempt to control how the world sees India through the lens of half-truths, cultural mockery, and political sabotage. And when Indian journalists willingly contribute to this ecosystem, whether at Reuters, BBC, or the New York Times, they are not just reporting the news, they are participating in the betrayal of Bharat. At a time when India is taking the fight to terrorists on their turf, exporting weapons instead of importing them, launching missions like Chandrayaan and building the world's fastest growing economy, foreign media outlets are still stuck portraying India as chaotic, bigoted, or backward. Their problem is not with the facts, it's with the idea of a strong, sovereign, dharmic, and unapologetically nationalist India. The time has come to call this out without hesitation. If Indian journalists at foreign media houses cannot stand up for India, they should at least stop enabling its enemies. National interest is not optional, it is fundamental, and no foreign editor's approval is worth compromising the truth. Reuters, BBC, and their Indian enablers have shown time and again that their loyalty lies with global narratives, not with ground realities. This is not just about headlines, this is about honor, and it's time we start asking, whose side are you on?